Greetings everyone, and welcome to the Des Plaines, Illinois Battle Road, where we have quite the competitive tournament going on here. And right now we have the round 2 match between two-time world champion Jason Klaczynski on the left, and someone that people have gotten to know a little bit better. We've featured him a few times by now, Abe Morales on the right. He is a former Wisconsin state champion. So we should have a pretty good match here. Looks like Jason did mulligan right off the bat. So we're going to wait for him to get a basic, and we'll get all started here as Abe does his patented 5-cut, technically a shuffle. Irritates some people, but it's perfectly legal. And we will get started here. So this matchup will be the straight Darkrai deck of Jason. It's a Hammer Time variant where you just run Sableye, Darkrai, Crushing Hammer, Enhanced Hammer, and you just try to run your opponent over with Darkrai. That's pretty much all there is to it. Abe, on the other hand, as you can see by the Dino active, is running the Hydreigon Darkrai deck. So this should be an interesting matchup. Now, on paper, you would say, well, duh, the Hydreigon deck just wins once it gets set up. He gets the max potion, and he's basically just a better Darkrai deck. This is true. If that happens, Abe's going to win. No question about it. But what a lot of people fail to realize is that decks don't always work the way they should. They don't always set up as quickly as you would like them to. So, if Jason could put on a lot of early pressure, get like a turn 2, turn 3 Night Spear, it's usually good for pressuring your opponent, and knock out some dinos before Abe can set up, or just get a big enough prize lead, he'll win. That's all there is to it, really. It's just kind of trying to beat your opponent to the punch before they can set up. The philosophy here is a little bit different between the two players. Jason's deck, he knows, alright, to win a Battle Road, I have to go undefeated. There's no top cut anymore, so I want to play the most consistent deck possible. Just try to set up every round, maybe give myself an opportunity to outplay all of my opponents, and go from there. If I can just set up every round, then I give myself the best chance of winning. And for a high caliber player like him, this is a great strategy. You just want to be able to play every game. You don't want to run into games where you're just like, I don't have any supporters, I didn't get set up, I didn't get my stage 2 out, so I lose. So Jason instead decides, I'm going to run all basic Pokemon. 4 Sableye, 4 Darkrai, let's get straight to the point. I'm just going to try to Night Spear my way to every single victory. And it's worked for him so far. I mean, he's 1-0 this tournament. He's been undefeated at other tournaments. I believe he's gotten a few other top 4s with this deck. So it's treated him very well. Abe, on the other hand, is going for probably the more popular deck, which is just Darkrai, Hydreigon. A little clunkier, but you can afford to give up some prizes in the early going, and then from there, if you get set up, you just come back with max potion and all this madness. You can get a bunch of stuff. You can make some pretty big comebacks with the Hydreigon deck once you get set up. So it's kind of like the Vileplume decks from last format where you're like, alright, I'm probably going to give up some prizes early on. But then when I get set up, it's so difficult for my opponent to ever get another knockout. I mean, I guess it's more like Kling Klang from last format. It's the same thing. It would fall behind early on normally, and then from there you just go, alright, I'm all set up. Now I got my max potions at my disposal. Good luck ever taking another prize. So it looks like Jason didn't get any dark patches or anything on his first turn. He actually went for a Confuse Ray on the Dino just for 10 damage. I don't know how relevant that will be, but who knows. Abe, on the other hand, he started with a Dino. He got a Darkrai down. He played a Juniper as well. He had to discard another Juniper. Looked like a Super Rod, maybe a Dark Patch, and some other stuff. Now he's going for a Level Ball. So we'll see what he decides to grab. He's got the Sigilyph at the front, but this is actually kind of a deceiving thing. Sigilyph, in theory, is, oh yeah, well, Jason only runs Sableye. That's the only thing that can hurt me. How can I ever lose if I get that out? Well, the reality is, Jason plays Crushing Hammer and Enhanced Hammer. So what's going to happen is, he's just going to sit there and remove all the energy from Sigilyph until Abe doesn't have any more. Because to attack with the Sigilyph, you need the Blend energy. That's the one that provides the Psychic. And that's a special energy, which Enhanced Hammer automatically discards. So eventually it'll just be, oh, I don't have any energy left in that Sigilyph. And he can actually just Confuse Ray me 9 times. Or maybe more if I max potion. But eventually, that's going to be a battle that you're going to lose. So the Sigilyph actually is not useful at all in this matchup. It's strange to think about, but that's just the way it is. So now Abe is going to decide to retreat his Dino. Maybe he could have considered using Headbutt, considering it's very unlikely for Jason to get a Night Spear this turn, but he's taken the much safer route, and I like that better probably. And Jason's going to get a big Crushing Hammer heads there. Another big thing to try to slow Abe down is to try to take his energy out of play with stuff like that Crushing Hammer and Enhanced Hammer. He can slow Abe down with just early pressure with Night Spear. The other thing is Crushing Hammer to just take his energy out of play. So even if he does get set up, he might not be able to even attack once he does get the Hydreigon in play. So there's a lot of things, and this matchup is actually probably about 50-50. It's pretty even. Just based on the consistency of both decks. And the Crushing Hammer flips, they can go either way. You never know who's actually going to win this until it's all said and done. You never know what's going to happen, who's going to draw all their catchers, who's going to, or if Abe's going to draw all his max potions, if he's going to set up, all that kind of stuff. But we'll see as the game progresses. And it looks like Jason has actually a pretty bad start, which is uncharacteristic of his deck. He has no energy for his second turn. Now, he has 2 in the discard pile, so he could Dark Patch if he ever gets one. But he doesn't have energy, he doesn't have Dark Patch, he's got a whole lot of nothing. He's just kind of banking on Crushing Hammer here to bail him out a little bit. Because he really doesn't have anything else to work with. Now Abe, I don't know if he has anything to work with either. Let's see. Can't quite see what's in his hand. He has an Ultra Ball, so he could get these Wireless into play. See if he decides to discard some Dark Energy. There's 1. He's got 3 in his hand, so he's gonna discard a Sableye and a Dark Energy. I like that. You're probably gonna need to save some energy to attach manually. And he actually grabs the Hydreigon, so he might actually get that out turn 2. Does he have the rare candy as well? He must. Unless he just thought he had it and made a mistake, but I think he does have the rare candy, so he will get a turn 2 Hydreigon out here, which is really big. He's going to be able to attach to the active, then retreat to Sableye, Dark Trance the energy up to Sableye, and then just Junk Hunt this turn. He can also slow Jason down a turn with a catcher, and that's going to be perfect. The only thing missing for him is Dark Patch, which he does have in his discard pile. So everything he could want is pretty much in his discard pile here. Sableye is going to work with him really well, and this is why we see Sableye featured in these decks. It's just so good to set you up in the early game. Most decks don't have this luxury of just being able to exhaust your resources and then say, oh, never mind, I'm getting them right back with Junk Hunt. You know, you can get catchers back, you can get all sorts of stuff. Any trainer, not supporters, just trainers, not stadiums either. I guess nowadays they are classified as items. So let me just clarify on that. You can only get items with Junk Hunt, but it is a great card to get, or a great attack to get back those cards you need, like the Dark Patches. I think Abe should be using his catcher here, just because there's not another thing you really want to get back with your Junk Hunt. I mean, you can get Super Rod, but what's the point? You've already gotten a Hydreigon into play, so he should definitely try to catcher out that Darkrai and slow Jason down a little bit, because Jason didn't even have an energy last turn. If he doesn't have one, he can't even use Junk Hunt this turn. But it looks like Abe is going to go for Dark Patch and Level Ball. So, I mean, that's still fine. I definitely would have preferred the catcher this turn, though. Because if Jason doesn't draw the energy, which he didn't, there would be no Junk Hunt this turn. And Jason would be stuck with that Darkrai active. Abe would be free to get the first hit in on it. And there's really nothing to it. And he would just get the catcher right back with Junk Hunt. You don't really need the Level Ball. I suppose you can get another Dino with that, but it's not an urgent need. So I really would prefer Abe to just kind of go with catching out that Darkrai. I'm not sure why he didn't do that. We'll see what Jason decides to do now. He has a sort of interesting decision. The catcher no longer buys him time. Abe can just move energy anywhere with Dark Trance. So if he just drops one energy in play, he can move up to the active retreat and then go to Sableye. That's the nice thing about Hydreigon. There's no way catcher ever buys your opponent another turn. It's not like if you're using a deck with electric, where they catch up the electric, it has 2 retreat, and you might lose a turn of attacking just because, well, I can't retreat him this turn, darn. That never happens with a Hydreigon deck. Everything gets free retreat thanks to the combination of Darkrai and Hydreigon. And yeah, everything is peachy. So now Jason decided to junk hunt for an Ultra Ball and a Crushing Hammer instead of using Confuse Ray. I thought he might go with Confuse Ray just because it could set up some Night Spear fancy plays later, where the 10 damage on Sableye will allow him to, just put 10 on the Sableye now, and then later he can Night Spear for 30 and 30, and then knock it out. Now, a big thing that's going to happen here is Abe actually does have an N in his hand, but I don't think he wants to use it. Jason has shown that his hand is pretty bad. As we can see, he's got like 2 Crushing Hammers, 3 Darkrai's, and 2, or maybe 3 Catchers, and an Ultra Ball. So pretty much every card Jason does not want, he has in his hand. I think it's 2 Catcher, 2 Darkrai, 2 Crushing Hammer, a Sableye, and an Ultra Ball. That is really, really bad. Now Abe's going to put down another Dino. The reason why Abe does not want to use N is because he has everything he could want in his discard pile. Even if Jason hits Crushing Hammers, he can just junk out for Dark Patch over and over and over. And oh, Jason finally top decks something. He gets a random receiver, and it's Bianca. This is the downside of Bianca, of course. You can draw it with hands like these, and then it's like, no, I don't really draw any cards. So Jason's going to actually have to play out everything in his hand in order to use this Bianca efficiently. He flips 1 more heads on the Crushing Hammer and 1 tails. I believe that's 3 heads so far, so he's slowed down Abe considerably. Imagine if Abe had, those 3 energy on board. He would have been able to use Night Spear that turn, which is a world of difference. So the Crushing Hammer definitely came into play here. But now Jason's going to have to do something probably pretty costly. He's going to have to bench everything. He's going to have to bench all of his Darkrai's. He figures, alright, I'm going to have to do this anyway. And I need to thin my hand down for Bianca. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to draw cards. So he has to discard the Sableye and the Catcher. He's going to grab his 4th Darkrai and just put it into play. And we'll go from there. He's finally going to be able to draw something. He's not going to be able to Night Spear this turn. That would be just absurd if he could pull that off. That would take a triple Dark Patch. I don't believe Jason plays Switch or Energy Switch. So it's going to take an Energy and 3 Dark Patches. And I don't believe there are even 3 Dark Energy in his discard pile. So a Night Spear is not going to happen this turn. Just simply not going to happen. It's mathematically impossible for him to draw the correct combination of cards with 5 cards. He wouldn't have enough cards. So, Night Spear not happening this turn. Maybe he can get a Dark Patch. That would be ideal. A Dark Patch and an Energy. That way he could junk hunt for the Dark Patch. He does get the Energy. It looks like he has the Dark Patch in hand as well. So he will be able to Night Spear the next turn. Will Abe be able to Night Spear this turn, though? Because he has a Dark Patch in hand already. He has the N. He'll be able to draw a new hand. And he'll be able probably to get another Energy or at least another Dark Patch. And he should just be able to transfer all of his energy to Darkrai and get the first Night Spear. I can't see it not happening. I mean, he'd have to get pretty unlucky to whiff an energy completely off of his top card plus 6 from N. I don't see that happening. But Jason's just going to take a look at Abe's discard pile. See that there's really not a whole lot discarded there. And He's just deciding where to put the energy for Dark Patch. Now, I do kind of apologize. These two players are notoriously some of the slowest players in the world. I've heard people complain for a while that Abe's turns take forever, that he shuffles too much. And of course Jason is known for taking his sweet time, thinking out all of his turns, doesn't ever want to make a mistake. So this game will get a little slow at times. People just sitting there trying to make sure they make the right decisions. But, you know, that's just the way it is. I guess it doesn't provide for too much entertaining content, but that's why I'm here. To keep you occupied, to keep you entertained, and to keep you on your toes. Alright, so Abe does get the Dark Patch. He has a catcher and an N. He's going to catcher out the Darkrai with no energy. I think he's better off catching the Darkrai with the energy, because that's going to be the one that's going to attack. So I don't understand that logic too much, especially since Jason still has an energy in the discard pile. All he needs is an energy and a Dark Patch. Now, of course, if he misses one of those two, that's going to be a big play for Abe. But the odds of that happening aren't too high, considering all 4 Dark Patches are back in Jason's deck because he junk hunted for one of them. So now we're going to draw 6. Abe needs an energy, and it looks like he got the blend. So he'll be able to attack this turn. I would hope he will Night Sphere this turn. And he gets a Dark Patch as well. If I were Abe, I might consider actually holding on to that blend energy. It's a weird concept, but the thing is, if Jason just has an Enhanced Hammer, he's just going to play it immediately. You might want to wait until the turn that you really need it, in case Jason has an Enhanced Hammer, or in case Jason has to Juniper away an Enhanced Hammer. And then you get to keep your blend energy. You don't actually need it in play immediately. So it's something to think about. I don't think it's wrong to play it down, but just something to keep in mind. Maybe wait until Jason has to Juniper away a hand and see what happens. See, like right there, he has the Enhanced Hammer, he's just going to play it. And it also allows him to play an extra card if he has a Bianca. I don't think you need the blend energy immediately in order to attack. It's always comforting to get more energy on board, but it wasn't really that necessary there, I don't think. So Abe decided to put 30 on the Sableye. I'm not too sure how I feel about that, and there you go. See, Jason played a Juniper as well. So imagine if he just had to discard the Enhanced Hammer with the Juniper. You now would just keep your blend energy in play and not have to worry about that. But on the other hand, I guess there is Crushing Hammer to worry about. If Jason hit 2 in a turn, then you wouldn't be able to attack. And oh, he almost did. So who knows? Now we do see the Dark Patch from Jason. This is a pretty nice turn from him. He gets 2 Eviolites out. Eviolite is a really big thing in this matchup. Since Jason doesn't really have the luxury of Max Potion, moving all his energy around, that kind of stuff, he might not be able, or I mean, Abe is only going to be able to 2 or 3 hit knockout his Darkrai's with Eviolite, and Jason also got the Tool Scrapper, which is big. The point I'm trying to get at is Eviolite defines these Darkrai battles. This is what's going to let Jason stay in this game. If they're both just trading 2 hit knockouts, Jason cannot survive in this game. Abe will have Max Potion at some point. It's just not going to happen. Jason's going to lose. Plain and simple. Now, the other side of this is, well, Abe's going to 3-hit knock out those Darkrai, so basically they're all going to take an extra hit to get knocked out. If Abe had a Tool Scrapper or something like that, I think he would probably win this game. Just being able to wipe out those Eviolites would be huge. But you know, a lot of these decks cannot fit all those cards, especially the Hydreigon deck. I mean, you're already running Eviolite, and fitting in Tool Scrapper as well is tough when you already have Max Potion, you already have Rare Candy. Looks like Abe has Enhanced Hammer as well, so I don't even know how he fit those in the first place. But yeah, it looks like he just Max Potioned off the active. He can use Dark Trance to just move all his energy around, move all the energy up, and he's going to Night Spear. He's focusing down the Sableye. So, it looks like, oh, never mind, he's switching his focus to the Darkrai with the Eviolite. I actually do like that. It's a much better play. What he's going to do is just Night Spirit once. It doesn't look like much, but now that Darkrai is at 100 damage. Next turn, he can hit it for 10 again. And he's going to be at 110 damage. Now that means all it takes is one more Night Spear, 70 damage, and Abe can now knock out that Darkrai. So that 10 damage might seem insignificant, but it's actually a very big deal. Placing your damage correctly with Night Spear is a very, very big deal. Just putting it incorrectly once can be the end of the game. So you always have to be careful of that stuff. Abe was fortunate there to top deck a Bianca. He did not get a max potion though. So you will not be able to heal off his Darkrai with all the gigantic damage counters on them. Abe is someone who does not use dice. He uses the old school Giganto beads that came with the original theme decks. Not sure why they ever thought those were a good idea, but they're around. Jason has adapted the smaller damage counters. That the big red one means 50 damage, and the little ones are just 10. And now Abe, he's deciding to hit the Sableye now. I'm not too sure why. He had the right idea hitting the Darkrai before, the one that had 100 damage, but he needs to finish that off. He needs to get 10 more on there. Otherwise, that's kind of a wasted Night Spear before the 10 damage. But he's still in a pretty good position. Now, Jason, he does have the option for a 3-prize turn here, which would be huge. If he can catcher out that Darkrai with 90 damage, knock out the Sableye as well, that's a 3-prize turn. 2 for the Darkrai, 1 for the Sableye. And that's half the game right there. I mean, 3 prizes. That's huge. That's half your prizes. So he's definitely gonna be going for a catcher here. He's gonna end for 6. Odds are he'll probably draw a Pokemon catcher to get those 3 prizes, but is that enough for him to win the game? It's still a long road ahead. The difference between these two decks, even though Jason is kind of keeping up now, and he's powering up these Darkrai's now, the difference is his damage stays there forever. There's no max potion, there's no moving your energy off. None of that nonsense. Eventually one of those will probably get catchered, and those are just 2 prizes gone. Or eventually his board will just be so overloaded with damage that he actually can't retreat to a fresh one anymore. And that is going to be a problem as well. So Jason's going to contemplate an Ultra Ball. I don't know if I like that play too much. He's got 2 Dark, a Dark Patch, and a Random Receiver. So he's going to Ultra Ball and discard 2 Darks, I think, and then use a Dark Patch just to get 1 more energy in play. It's actually not a bad play. It just depends on how many energy he has left. And it looks like he has plenty. So that's just more to thin out his deck. And so he can get the extra energy in play this turn. He's going to take 3 prizes here. So you got to figure you're being end. So you want to clear your deck out of stuff that you wouldn't really want to draw. Ultra Ball is one of those. The Dark Energy you probably don't want to draw. The Dark Patch you don't even want to draw. You want to draw supporters if Abe plays an N. So this is something subtle that a lot of people don't pick up on. Using Ultra Ball right before you're about to take a lot of prizes. Just discarding excess cards so that when your opponent plays N, you can just go, alright, I'm now going to draw good cards. Not energy, not junk. And here we go. 3 prize turn. Jason retreated to the Darkrai with fresh, with no damage on it. It looked like he was moving damage, but that was just to make things simpler. Since the bench Darkrai was exactly the same as the active one, he can just retreat, and then it just moves the damage counters instead of picking up all the cards, worrying about losing the damage counters when you slide the cards. It just makes things simpler. So if you were wondering why he did that, that is why. Now Abe, what is he going to do? If he gets the catcher, he's probably going to go for a Darkrai knockout here. If he doesn't, he's going to have to be happy with Night Spearing the active for 70. And then he can either take out the Sableye, which I don't really like, or you can do 10 damage to that Darkrai with 100 on it. I like that play a lot better. This gives him a clear win condition in the coming turns. It's just 3 Darkrai's, 6 prizes for the game. Pretty simple. That's what he's going to want to be able to do to close the game out. So he does have an Ultra Ball. I don't know if he has any other supporter in his hand or anything like that. That could be a big deal. Looks like he's not going to take anything with the Ultra Ball. Probably a good choice, depending on what's in his hand. There's only a Dino left in his deck, I think. So he doesn't really have many options left to even work with to begin with. You can see there's no Hydreigon left either. So there's none of that to work with. He discarded his Super Rod and a Hydreigon on the first turn, I think. His third one must be prized. He's already got one in play. But he's probably looking to just evolve that Zweilous to give Jason one less catcher target in this game. Because really, Jason's going to be struggling to take prizes from here on out. He can 2-hit this active Darkrai, but of course, if Abe ever gets Max Potion, or even Eviolite, it's going to take more than 2 turns to take that down, which is exactly what he needs. Basically, Jason is the one on a clock. He has to win in a certain amount of turns, otherwise Abe will just overwhelm him with superior options. So we'll see if Abe got any of those. Looks like there's 2 Max Potions in hand, so he'll be able to survive for a while. And like I said, he did play the N, which is what Jason prepared for the previous turn. Now Abe's just kind of looking to see, alright, let's just see how much damage you got on your guys. He's got 100 on that Darkrai, 140 on that one, and then 60 on the Sableye. And Abe's actually going to take out the Sableye. Like I've been saying in other games, I don't know if I agree with just taking down the Sableye here, but I'm kind of growing more fond of it, especially in this situation where Jason would maybe just spend a turn using Junk Hunt here. And now he really can't afford to drop another Sableye because it'll give Abe a second prize, which means he only has to knock out 2 EXs. The way things are now, Abe only has to knock out, or Abe still has to knock out 3 EXs. That's 6 prizes. So taking the 1 prize to offset it didn't matter at all. So if Abe would have left the Sableye alive, Jason could have just retreated to his Sableye and used Junk Hunt to maybe get a random receiver or something like that, and try to recover. But now he doesn't really have that option. He could still do that. He has a Sableye and a Dark in his hand, but I don't think he can afford to do that anymore. It'll just give up the prize. It'll let Abe come closer to closing the gap. And yeah, I don't know. So maybe Jason will have to do this anyway. It looks like he's contemplating some trainers in his discard pile. So he might be thinking about it. He might be saying, I know I don't want to give up this second prize here. Now Abe only has to knock out 2 of my Darkrai's, and I have 3 that are badly injured that Hydreigon can easily clean up with the Dragon Blast. But what do? I don't have any options in hand. So it's tough. You can either just Night Spear and hope to top deck something, or go for the Sableye, give up the prize, and go for some more options here. And it looks like Jason is just going for the Sableye. So taking out the Sableye with Night Spear was a very good play by Abe, it turns out. Sometimes the wrong play ends up being the right one. And I don't want to say it was the wrong play, but hey, it definitely worked out here. It looks like Jason's going to get a catcher and probably a random receiver. I would hope so, at least. He does not have a supporter in hand. So I think he's going to go for the random receiver. And we'll go from there. Now this is going to buy Abe a turn of just free attacking. He gets to get off scot-free just attacking. And that's really good for him. He's got a Charon to draw 3. Basically, Jason did nothing that turn. And it's going to give 1 turn to Abe to just kind of power up. Take another prize. Get some stuff into play. All that good stuff. Get another energy down, maybe. And we do see the second blend, which is nice. Jason is out of Crushing Hammers at this point. I believe he's played all 4. And he has already played 1 Enhanced Hammer. He does not have 1 in hand. I can't imagine he plays more than 2, so that's not a big deal either. And he's going to Night Spear, put 10 on the Darkrai with 150 Well, it now is 150, so this could be big. But I would still like to see the 10 on that Darkrai with the 100 damage on it. I mean, that seems to make a little more sense. But if Abe plays Tool Scrapper, that would be a monumental play. If you just imagine, it looks like Jason did top deck a Juniper, so he would have drawn a supporter. But hindsight, of course, is 20/20. You can't know that. But, you know, let's say Abe has a Tool Scrapper. If he discards the Eviolite on the Darkrai with 150 and the Darkrai with 100, he just takes a Catcher and a Night Spear, and he can knock out 2 Darkrai's at once, and the game is over. So if Abe plays Tool Scrapper and he draws it, that's going to be a big play. That's understated a little bit. That's going to end the game completely. So I don't know if Abe plays a Tool Scrapper, but if he does, that's just going to be game over for Jason. There's no way he can stop that. And he's just going to be done for. It looked kind of okay for Jason once he took those 3 prizes at once. But the reality is he's probably going to fizzle out here. It's just too difficult for him to take all of his prizes from here on out. And I believe time has actually been called at this point. So Jason will be turn 0. Abe will be turn 1. Jason turn 2. Abe turn 3. So they're going to take their time here. There's a lot of pressure here. Time is over. Don't have to worry about stalling or anything. They still have to play their turns out in a timely fashion. But I don't know who really has the advantage here. I would say Jason, but Abe has so much damage on Jason's board. If he can get some catchers, it's going to be over. I mean, all it takes is 1 catcher to get 2 prizes, and then another catcher to get 2 more prizes, pretty much. Because he has the Hydreigon in play, ready to Dragon Blast pretty much any of those Darkrai's. So there's going to be a big couple turns here. Abe is now turn 1. Will he be able to pull off the victory here against the world-renowned Jason Klaczynski? This is coming down to the wire. Both players have a shot to win this one, but I would definitely say it all lies in what Abe has. It all depends on whether or not he can draw those game-winning catchers. He's got 1 in hand already. He's got an Eviolite as well, which is a pretty big card to have. As long as Jason doesn't have another Tool Scrapper. Looks like he does, though. So Abe, he's got a catcher. He's going to be able to do something with it. But what else does he have in his hand? Can he actually eliminate any more cards from his deck? If he has an Ultra Ball, he should probably play that now. I would like to see him play a Max Potion as well. That way he could kind of heal off the Hydreigon. I don't think that's a card you really want to draw off of your N. You really just want to thin out your deck at this point, in case Jason ends you. And you want to draw a catcher or a supporter. It's basically all there is to it. He does get the first catcher. This is big. He's going to bring up the Darkrai with 150 damage. And he should be targeting down that other Darkrai that has 100 on it already. Should be what he's doing this turn. Can he play any other cards in his hand? He has a ton of cards in his hand. Looks like a lot of them are just kind of useless, though. And he does make the right move. That Darkrai on the bench now has 70 damage on it. Just in case Jason enhanced hammers away all the blends, so he can't use Dragon Blast. So here we go. First of all, does Jason have an N? That's going to be topic number 1. Does Jason have the N? If he does, then Abe's going to have to get lucky and draw a catcher. Because basically what's going to happen, Jason is turn 2, Abe is turn 3. Now Jason's just going to Night Spear, 30 to the Hydreigon, soften it up. And oh, he's got a Tool Scrapper as well, so this makes things a lot more interesting. He can do 90 to the active, 30 to the Hydreigon, and then it's just a matter of, alright, if Abe doesn't have 2 max potions, or if Abe doesn't have a catcher, I'm going to win on time just because I'll take a prize for sure. So it's all coming down to these 2 turns here. Jason must realize that he needs to play N here. I don't actually think Abe has another catcher in hand, believe it or not, but when you can see how many cards Abe has in his hand, there's like 10 cards, it's just like, I cannot take that risk. I mean, if Abe has a couple max potions, I also lose, so I can't let that happen. And I need to just end him. He's got too many cards. He could have too many things. So even if he doesn't have the catcher, it's just like, He could also draw a catcher now because there's so many cards out of his deck that he already has. So Jason's just trying to play this out the best he can. He knows this is going to end up with him playing N. And he's going to probably Ultra Ball to discard some stuff. Let's see, I don't know what else is in his hand, really. He's going to play a Dark Energy. Looks like he's got a hand full of supporters, so he might not actually even want to Ultra Ball. It's interesting. He's actually got nothing but good cards in hand. And he's going to play... Looks like a Dark Energy. So it looks like, yeah, all of his cards are supporters besides the Ultra Ball and the Dark Energy. And he doesn't want to discard a supporter, so he'll just attach the energy in N. Both players to 2. You can see how many supporters he has left, so odds are he's going to draw a supporter to get a catcher next turn and probably win. So Abe he's on the clock. He's got a lot of pressure. He's got 1 turn to draw something. Otherwise, Jason Klaczynski will take this game down. Now he's going to Night Spear, the active for 90, obviously. And then 30 to the Hydreigon, since it has enough damage now to just be catchered and knocked out. So Abe needs basically 2 max potions to survive the turn if he can't win. So basically his best option is to draw something in. Oh, we got a Bianca. His 2 of the cards were Enhanced Hammers, but there's a Bianca. He's going to get 4 cards here. Does Abe draw the game-winning catcher? And he got it. Abe Morales will take down Jason Klaczynski in a very, very close match. Both sides played very well. Unfortunately, Jason did not win this one. But Abe will move on to 2-0. He gets a big win here at the Des Plaines, Illinois Battle Road. And Jason's just showing you, yep, I don't think there's actually a combination of cards that would not have gotten me a Pokemon catcher next turn. So his deck was thinned out pretty nicely to just draw his deck, basically, and get one of his last 2 catchers. So if Abe didn't get it that turn, that was game over. That was it. But he drew it, and he won the game. So thanks for watching, guys. I am Pooka here from the Top Cut. We will have the rest of the rounds here from the Des Plaines, Illinois Battle Road coming up for you shortly. And we'll see you next time.